Panther Nation, the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com.
I had fun, man. Just out, you guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
My favorite night of the week.
We're gonna go out there and we're playing to win. We're not out here just to show up. We're out here to win.
I don't want guys that want to win, because really, who doesn't? Nobody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. I want players that hate to win.
This embodies everything that we are as a team, as an organization. Our motto is keep pounding, and that's what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, what's up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I do it with my homeboys. I got a lot here tonight. I got a lot of friends, and we got more friends, guys, because we're on Periscope Live, we're on Facebook Live, and we're on YouTube Live. We're getting crazy. Joe Riolano. It's like Puerto Rican stuff.
That's right. It is like Puerto Rican stuff. That means we're bringing it hot and heavy tonight. Talk about. I am your boy, the freaking Puerto Rican, a.k.a. Joe Riolano. This is the C3 Podcast. We are here for you fans. We are the only podcast doing this 52 weeks a year. That's right. All year long, whether we're in season or not. And we have the full crew tonight. Aaron Ford, it is great to see you here, despite the fact that you're wearing that NC State shirt.
I was seeing how long it would take you to notice, man. I wore it just for you guys. But hey, I'm finally settled in my new digs in the Queen City, back home in Charlotte, live and in living color. Can't wait for a great show tonight, man. Lots to talk about, and I tell you, we got so many different media streams out there tonight. The professor's been working overtime, but tonight I'm monitoring the YouTube chat room, man. They're already popping. People are excited, got lots of questions, a lot of interaction.
Fantastic.
Let's have at it.
All right,
Yep.
So and we got Trip Morgan here. Are you there, Trip? We can't see you.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, he's here. Trip, how's it been going, man?
Been going good. Looking forward to another good night.
All right, excellent. Tonight's show, guys, is private workouts, picking picks, and free agency winners. This is episode 17.7. We do ask everybody to bear with us. It sounds like that Joe says my audio is crackly, but but at the same time, the people that hear me, is it crackly? I don't think it's crackly to them. Okay. But Joe, can you hear me okay, or is it like impossible?
I can hear you okay, but there is a lot. You're breaking up, but I can hear you. It's okay. A lot of background.
All right. So what? Again, we're gonna have to go to. Eventually, we're gonna have to go, I guess, maybe to Skype. Anyway,
we got somebody out there on YouTube saying they want to hear so much from Trip, but he's got to speak a little bit louder. His audio.
Okay, good. All right. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is some private workouts that have been scheduled. I know Trip got to catch up with Zay Jones from East Carolina University, who had a private workout with the Carolina Panthers, as well as I know that more people. Cam Robinson has also been brought in to have a private workout, and there's been some other names that the Panthers have been shopping out there. We'll be talking about that, but I think we're going to have to start the show with ultimately the most important news that's going on, and that is Cam Newton announced today he's having surgery. He suffered a shoulder injury in Week 14 against the San Diego Chargers, and it turns out that he had a mild rotator cuff issue, or a small rotator cuff tear, and they're going to have to. They've tried to rehab, and this, and it hasn't worked. So now surgery is what it's going to take. Guys, the news came out today. Joe, I know you weren't happy about this.
No, in fact, you know exactly how I feel about this because it the fact that it's just coming to deal with the surgery that they're going to do the surgery now just baffles me. I understand, Cam wants to play, didn't want to do it until the end of the season. I'm okay with that. I understand that. It makes sense to me. Well, why are you going to wait till the end of March to go ahead and do the procedure? He should have had it done a month after the season ended. That way he can take a little break and have some time, with the family. I understand that, but this is a career. This is what you do to make your living, and we need you to be here and fully available to the team at all times. So I really am disappointed in the team, the fact that they waited so long to decide to do the surgery. Um, Rehabbing it and treating it, with uh, rehabilitation and that sort of stuff is not going to fix a tear. You're going to have to go in and, get that done right. I had a torn meniscus before. I could have rehabbed it till the end of time and it wouldn't have gone away. They had to go in and surgically repair it.
Yeah, I don't know how you rehab a tear.
Yeah, so it just baffles me, and I'm pretty aggravated because we really have high expectations. We have some serious money we've invested into this team.
However, Professor or Joe, I totally get what you're saying, and I totally agree with it. However, I'm always looking at the positive side with things. Yeah, yes. Last year Cam Newton was doing TV shows in LA. The year before he was playing soccer ball in Australia, right? I mean, he was doing things totally away from the team, which I don't begrudge him that, right? But maybe this year he's going to be rehabbing. He'll be at the facility more, maybe more acclimated into all-season, film study, mechanics, things of that nature. Maybe there's a positive in this, but it is frustrating. Why wait until the end of March? He's going to be lucky if he's going to be throwing a training camp.
Right. And that's my concern is he's going to miss OTAs. He's going to miss when you're starting to build that chemistry, you're meeting the new guys.
Right.
You need all the time you can spend with them possible in order to develop that timing. And just waiting so late into the off season to do this, it's aggravating. I know he'll be, he's going to be able to play. He's going to make it for the start of the season. They say he'll be fine for training camp. But really, the team starts to grow as a unit before then. And he's just going to miss out on that. I'm sure he'll be there and, he'll just not be participating. It'll be Derek Anderson, Joe Webb, and, whoever else they decide to bring in.
Right.
The thing about this, Mel, and that is you were talking about how potentially this could just keep him closer to the facility and have these types of be more in tune and not be distracted. And what I thought of today was how I felt in 2014 when in February after the Super Bowl, which we weren't in that year, that was the year before, or 2 years before, essentially. It was going into 2014 where Cam Newton had repaired his ankle, had some sort of minor ankle surgery, and they told us that this was going to be a 6-week recovery time, that this was something too that they wanted to see how to proceed, and then what do you know, it's still lingering into the season. So what I get out of this, or what I'm kind of at least concerned about, and it's not about just in this case, but in all cases, anytime you have a surgery and they talk about the rehab process, there's only one person I've ever known in my life where the timetable got moved up, and that was Adrian Peterson. Other than that, the timetable seems to always be pushed back. So I think that's where Joe's concerned. Now, Tripp, you got on top of this immediately on the website, and from what I saw, the Panthers believed that he was going to have to go through this rehab and this treatment process anyway. Because one of my concerns was is why the hell is he out there playing those last 3 games?
Yeah, that was a big concern. I think the biggest issue is that when it comes to this kind of thing, there's been many other quarterbacks and athletes that have played with this kind of injury. Looking at reports and stuff and what they were saying, and the one thing that they want to try to avoid is having to go through that surgery. You want to try to avoid surgery. Now, regardless of if you're going to try to avoid surgery or if you think you might have to go into it, they started the rehab process earlier, hoping it would heal itself, looking at the MRI. But the disturbing part is they came out and told the media after that Chargers game that the MRI was clean when it wasn't. I think that's the part that's getting a lot of people upset, and rightfully so. But like I said, as far as the rehabbing goes, I think it was more so they don't want to have to do the surgery unless they absolutely had to.
Sure.
Which the pain kept worsening, and that ultimately brought that on now. And reading reports from doctors and stuff, they're saying that this isn't, unlike that ankle injury, this isn't something that is that big of a deal, and that they're sure the Panthers erred on side of caution, that it's not uncommon for a player to play through it at all. But the fact that our season was in the wash and we'd already lost Luke Kuechly, pretty much for the season to shut him down, it's just kind of concerning that you don't put your $100 million quarterback on the sideline.
Trip, you got an awesome headboard.
Which that is a statement that has to be taken in context.
Exactly.
Yeah, true that. All right, so
but hey,
what do you guys think about what Tripp's saying? Like,
no, I hear you. But Cody Lakeney out there, and I hope I got that last name right, out there on YouTube, he says Super Cam will be ready to go for the start of training camp. Remember that this is the same dude that flipped a truck and still made it into the playoffs in the same year. Which that was the same year he had the ankle surgery, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it was, yeah.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point.
I think I understand what he's saying. Yes, we know he's capable of, this is something he will come back from. I think the point that at least I'm trying to make, or the thing that's bothering the most is, with so many new additions to this team, that we have new people everywhere, Cam needs to be available to throw with them to develop that chemistry and timing, because we can add all the talent in the world we want, but if there's not the chemistry between the quarterback and his receivers, it doesn't matter. It's not going to matter. That's and, the offensive line needs to get together and be able to block for Cam. It's a team chemistry, the locker room, and yes, he'll be there, but he's not going to be out on the field with these guys. And that's what we want. We want them spending time together on the field. And that's where we will come up short because of this procedure. That's my point.
This is, Joey, something that's not new for Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. Last year was the first year that he did have go into a training camp. Or maybe it was it was last season, right? Was it?
Yeah, and maybe it's better that he didn't, that he doesn't.
Right.
Well,
good point.
You have a point there, because 2015 he was unstoppable. And then last year he was mediocre, is putting it nicely.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean, there may be something to that, but the point that I'm making. The more
I agree 100%. Is that
one another, the better for us.
I don't want to see Cam Newton in training camp hanging out with Ken Dorsey.
Exactly.
And that's what happens, and we've seen it. We've all been there. We've gone and sweated like crazy, and poor Cam's out there sweating like crazy with a foot in a boot or whatever, basically doing nothing on the sidelines. And not like I don't even think training camp is all that overly strenuous. We've watched what they do. It's not crazy. So if you can't even participate in that, that's tough. And I agree 100%. I think Cam needs to be out there because not only does he need to be getting sharper, but he needs to also be working on his game and working on the nuances of the game, as well as should we say, becoming more of a leader every week.
He needs to
elite,
fill that leadership role. Yes.
and that's by him being in the huddles. That's him with joking with the guys. That is not him over there with Ken Dorsey stretching out and showing off his abs.
Right. And on the the bicycle, and over there, doing like you said, stretching drills or soft toss with the football. We need him behind the center in the backfield, throwing to the receivers, throwing to the tight end, who I hope and pray one of which is O.J. Howard. But I guess we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we need him present and as a part of this team, not on the sideline.
Because he's going to mature. I mean, and not that when we say that, it ultimately implies that he's immature. Right? And I'm not meaning that. But look, I wasn't immature when I was 28, but I wasn't like I am today. Maybe I actually was better at 28 than I am now. I didn't have a podcast where every Tuesday night I made a big deal well, that's pretty awesome. I would say that's
pretty cool.
I mean, like with like Mel, you just get better with age, right?
I'm a lot better then.
Okay.
Lots of age.
So Amanda is bringing this up on YouTube, I saw, and that is, it's not just Cam Newton, but Charles Johnson is having a surgery.
That's right.
Trip,
on his back.
what kind of surgery is that surgery? It's something like a micro, is it on his back? Is it on his back?
Yeah, it's a back surgery. It was like a micro, I can't remember the name of it. It was a micro,
like scopy. It was like microscopy or something. It was
like
it
was a
disc. Is it a disc?
Like a discectomy or something like that. I think they were taking out a portion of a disc or maybe the entire disc, and maybe because it was a problem they had that was worsening. So I think they were going to remove the disc, if I remember seeing that correctly.
Okay, so that's what I saw. It seems, but I tell you, anytime that we see a back thing, I get nervous, right? Have you ever, Mel, heard of somebody that had a back problem?
No. Anytime I hear a back problem, I think about Larry Johnson back in the day with the Hornets. He just had his back surgery. He was never the same, and the Hornets were never the same. But, thankfully, we are not reliant on Charles Johnson anymore. I mean, he's a rotational player at this point in his career.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right, but it'd be nice to have him, but you're right, is that Julius Peppers could easily play that spot.
Right.
I think Mario Addison is going to be moving to more of a full-time role, right?
Yep.
So, on top of that, Damiere Byrd has injured himself as well. His knee, and it seems like what Joey had done, whatever that meniscus, a lateral meniscus, and I think that is like not a major muscle in your knee. I think it's a minor surgery, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, but still, Damiere Byrd, you know what that tells me? This boy's been working pretty hard in the offseason, and also that the Carolina Panthers, that they announced this along news with Cam Newton. Now, either they're just breaking this news to try to take some of the edge off the Cam Newton thing, but I think this is indicating that the Carolina Panthers have some faith in Damiere Byrd, that this is big. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
That's what we do, though.
Yeah, but it's it's kind of, it hurts him all at the same time. It can put his time frame back in competing with that slot role that many people were hoping he would compete for. And I know he was. I mean, obviously he hurt himself during conditioning drills on his own in the off season, and went in there and they followed protocol, and now he's got to get it cleaned up. But that could put his timetable back if he has any kind of setbacks. That could hurt him.
Okay, so we got some questions coming in about the roster, and so we'll move on. I do agree with that 100%. Trip is that this guy's got to be competing at this point. He doesn't need to be sidelined.
Right.
right? So, but we've got some questions in YouTube and on Facebook about the roster and some various things like that. So we'll talk about this. One that we saw was, Mel, who was it? It was Corey that said, I really think we should look for wide receiver in the draft. Your guys' thoughts? Now, Cameron also agrees with this. And to think about this, let's talk about this. We're talking about visits, private workouts. Trip, you met with Zay Jones, ECU Pirate, that the Carolina Panthers worked out. First of all, for people that don't know a lot about Zay Jones, tell us a little bit about him, because not everybody gets the look and the vantage point that you and I have.
So, long and the short of it is Zay Jones, Justin Hardy last year, well, year before last, before he left ECU, broke the all-time NCAA career receptions record at ECU and, across the nation, a national record. Zay Jones followed that up this past year. Not only did he break the career receptions record that Hardy had just set the previous year, he also broke the single-season reception record for an NCAA, which is pretty huge. And the biggest thing with Zay was going into the draft and, scouts looking at him was the offense he played in with ECU. People wanted to say it was inflated because they ran a lot of screen games, this and that. And then, of course, he went to Senior Bowl week, and he lit the world on fire, and he's been doing it since with the Combine and Senior Bowl game, yada, yada. But, one of the biggest things with Zay is he's the definition of professional. When reporters and analysts everywhere talking to him just grade him at the highest with the respect as far as, interviews and stuff like that. But 6'2", 205, 4.46 40 at the Combine. His pro day is coming up Thursday at ECU. Man, he's got a lot to offer, and he shot himself up to late first round, early second round draft pick.
Now, with Zay Jones, what the thing that was is that, like Tripp was saying, is that numbers inflated by an offense, a scheme. On top of that, there was worry that he didn't have the size or the speed to be an outside receiver or a legitimate NFL, like a top NFL prospect. Not that he couldn't go into the NFL and contribute somewhere, but that he was of some sort of high draft stock. Well, what you got is a guy that is not small. 6'2", 205 isn't little. It's not giant. He's not 6'4", but he's not a Steve Smith. You're going to think that in the NFL, as he grows into his man body, he's going to put on 10 more pounds probably, right?
Easy. Easy.
And then on top of that, what you get is a guy who impressed us with his speed more so. Both, and Justin Hardy did this a little bit, but not to this degree. I was talking with a friend of mine at work, and he was mentioning this, that he heard Gil Brandt?
Yeah.
That he was talking to Zay Jones on the NFL Network or wherever he was at, and they were showing a live interview between the two, or a real interview between the two, and he told him to not run his 40 at the pro day. I
know he's been debating it.
He said, "Look, what are you going to really do? You're going to go. What the best case scenario is? You go to a 4.44, right?" Or 4.43, and you move up 2 spots. Worst case scenario, you run a 4.5 and you drop.
Yeah, fall out around. Yep.
So I'm under that. I agree with that, to be honest. He proved what he had to prove. He had a great combine. He caught everything in sight. He had a great Pro Bowl. I saw that Legacy Line, our great friend Lynn, founder of the Girl Gang, she said she was saying that his interviews were real well, and what Tripp has been talking about is this professionalism. What's his dad, Robert
Jones, and he won 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s.
Yeah.
Linebacker, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yep, linebacker. And his uncle was Jeff Blake, who won the Peach Bowl against NC State in the 90s.
And I think his cousin might be David Garrard. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I heard I heard David Garrard talking about Zay Jones, and I thought this was really cool. Lynn, you'll like this. Is that he was talking about, he was giving him advice about going to the combine, and David Garrard's got a great story. You know, David Garrard is a guy had Crohn's disease, went to ECU, best quarterback in ECU history. And he said to Zay Jones, he said, wherever you're at, if you're at a McDonald's, in a bathroom, anybody who talks to you, assume that they work with an NFL team.
Yeah.
That was his piece of advice. Yeah, it's like you got to spy, like the guy that gives you the hand towels.
Let me ask you guys a question. If Zay Jones went to Virginia Tech, let's say, would you want him as badly on this team?
No.
At least he's being honest.
yeah, I mean that's a solid question. And my answer to that would be I probably wouldn't. I would have done my and I definitely probably still would have liked what I saw, but him being at ECU, I've got to see a lot more in person.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And that helps out a lot too. But I completely see that, and I've thought that, I've asked myself that question many times. But I will say this:
certainly not. We wouldn't be, because we're rooting for Zay Jones. Like, right. I mean, that's the thing, is that we wouldn't be rooting for him. But at the same time, I actually believe that Zay Jones has a higher upside than Justin Hardy did.
Oh yeah, I was getting ready to say.
But I would say there's two other
coming in.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you there. Go ahead, Trip.
Oh, no, I can't see up here, but I love Justin Hardy coming in, and I wanted him to be a Panther, but I knew we were going to have to get him in the late rounds. If we got him, we needed to take him late.
Yes.
But I will say this, and I knew in the following year I was interested to see what Zay Jones did, and I will say I think Zay Jones' ceiling, I think anybody will say it, Zay's ceiling is much higher than Hardy's is. No disrespect to Hardy and what he did. He had the speed, and his size was his biggest issue when it came to the NFL receiver position. And Zay Jones has all that.
They're not the same type of player. You know, they're not the same type of receiver. Right. One guy is, guy that works the middle of the field and the boundary, while the other guy, he can do whatever you ask him to. And you're right, his ceiling is way greater than Hardy. And no disrespect to Hardy. He had a fantastic career at ECU. He is one of the guys that you can look at and say, that was a great player and a great person.
Yeah.
But
and that's a great point.
He doesn't have the pedigree. I mean, not the pedigree, but think about the advantages Zay Jones has had in his life. I heard Zay Jones.
A pedigree.
I heard Zay Jones say this once, is that he asked the kid when he was in elementary school what team his dad played for. Like, he just assumed, because like his like you said, Jeff Blake is his uncle, this and that. Like, he just assumed everybody in the world was a professional football player.
Right. Everybody. Right. That's awesome.
That is in the interviews, and I tell you one thing about this kid is that he hasn't stepped out of line one time. He hasn't caused one disruption on the entire on anything.
Nope.
Right? He has been nothing. And when you talk to him, or when I listened to Tripp talk to him, should I say, and other people talk to him, is that this guy is seriously like a piece of humble pie.
Yeah,
right.
It is.
And that's amazing when your dad is a Super Bowl champion. Yep. He did get kind of shunned. He didn't get recruited in college. He came here because of the ties that Ruffin McNeil had to the Texas area, I believe. And his dad also a ECU Pirate, I believe. So,
yeah, you were talking about him doing his 40 time at the Pro Day and how it could affect his drafting. That was kind of one of the questions I asked him. Was telling him about, Mayock was saying how when the combine was going on right before he ran, he said if he can run anything in the mid 4.5s, that'll be really good for Zay. and then he hit the 4.46, and it blew Mayock and others away, of course. And it was a really good time for him. And I asked us, your pro day is coming up next Thursday. Is that something you're looking to beat? And Zay's exact answer was, I'm not sure yet. Which, reports have been out saying he wasn't sure if he was going to run it or not, which is completely understandable. You ain't going to see John Ross go out there and run his 40 anymore. Not until he's drafted. You know what I mean? And Zay didn't break the record, but that is a great number for Zay. And it's like you said, if he runs something in the mid 4.5s, all of a sudden that's the last number people are going to see, and they're going to fall back on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a lot of people, getting back to our original question let's ask this about Zay Jones, and then we'll move on because we got to get Mel and his draft advice in here. But how would Zay Jones contribute to this team, guys? Like, would he have? Is this something that the Panthers need at receiver, or do we need a different type of player? Is he too just a jack of all trades and not great at anything? I think that's kind of what we need at this point a little bit, and partially because I like Zay Jones, but more so because right now we have a bunch of guys that can only do one thing.
Yeah, I think his versatility is easily the biggest thing. I mean, he's played every position at the receiver role at ECU, and he's done well at it. He's a great slot guy. That's where he started and really moved outside this past year, and started perfecting his game there. But the slot role is something we've been looking to draw competition at, and that's something he can do. He showed at the Senior Bowl and Senior Week that he can play that outside position against some of the best cornerbacks in college football, and he had success with that. So I think he can definitely do it. I know one thing we need to get, his speed at the combine in his 40 really helped show. That really helped, bring him into more Panther fans' eyes because we want more speed. Everybody's talking about, they want the John Rosses, they want the Deshaun Jacksons, the guy that can take the lid off, especially with Ted Ginn now. And if, a lot of people could jump down Zay's throat if he hadn't ran that good 40 time. So, but I think his versatility is one of the biggest things, being able to play every position at the receiver role.
Mel, who are some other guys that the Panthers may target?
Well, let me just say about Zay, one thing I like about him is he seems to be a very clean route runner, and the Panthers don't have a lot of that. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin, not really a great route runner. Devin Funchess, not really a great route runner. So the thought of Zay coming in, being able to play the slot and have that type of skill and the good hands that he has, he would be a very solid fit. I could see the Panthers targeting him really towards the end of the second round. Maybe that pick they got with New England. If he's still there, I could see that being a solid target. But I'm like what he was saying a little bit earlier, that we need some speed with Ted Ginn gone and some guys to keep an eye on. Of course, you got John Ross, who ran a 4.22, right? But also another name to keep an eye on is Curtis Samuel out of Ohio State. Guy ran a 4.31. And that sounds a little pedestrian next to the 4.22, but 4.31 is still lightning fast. I mean, that is Ted Ginn fast.
Yeah.
So, he played running back and wide receiver, so he's got some versatility there. So, that's a guy that could go in the second round as well. So, somebody who's rising up the board very fast is our Darius Stewart out of Alabama. That's somebody to really keep an eye on as well. So those are some names to keep in mind on the first couple of nights.
Why do you like who do you like? What do you think that, let's not say this, is because I don't think we pick a receiver at 8.
No, I don't either.
So, I just don't think John Ross does enough for the team. No. And sorry, Joe, I hate to be that guy, but I feel like go ahead.
I think John Ross would be somebody that if the Panthers really do like him and feel like he's more than a speed demon, and he had 81 receptions last year, so he's not a one-trick pony. The guy has good hands. I could see the Panthers taking a couple of picks and trading up, maybe their 2 second-round picks, trading back into the first round. That's what it would take. You'd have to get into the probably low 20s to get him, somewhere around 22, 23. But if they don't do that, they're going to find somebody like the Alabama wide receiver in round 2 or 3. Probably a third round is probably where I see the Panthers getting into the wide receiver market, most likely. Zay Jones has got to be in the short list. He definitely could be somebody that could be here.
Do you think there's value in the Panthers trading back into the first round, getting up to like 18, and making that John Ross pick?
It depends on what you got to give up, right? I don't know that two second round picks will get you to the 18 spot.
2 second rounders and the third is what I would imagine it's going to cost.
And that's hefty.
Expensive. That's expensive. But you've got this guy. You're going to have him for 5 years as a rookie. On his rookie deal, you get him for 5 years, right?
That's a great point. You get him in the first instead of the second. You get an extra year on the contract. Yeah,
exactly. So you got him for 5 years. You can really watch him develop, and he's going to be a legitimate deep threat. So anyway, I know it's all hypothetical. It is hypothetical, but that's all we can talk about right now.
I like it,
and I think too, if they trade back into the first, late first, I think they're going to be going for a guy that they think is going to be an immediate impact. And I think you have to if you're going to give up that much. And Ross he could be that guy.
I don't think Dave Gettleman trades to get into the first round. I don't believe it. And I believe that to get into the first round, you have to give too much. I mean, just to move up 8 spots into the second round from the third, just 8 single spots to the last pick in the second round, we had to give Coney Ely and our pick. Is that, do you remember when we were talking a couple of years ago about what it would take to get Odell Beckham Jr. and how we would have to trade into that 17 to 23 kind of range? Yeah. And the capital, the expense of doing that was just
uncomfortable. You better be sure.
Yeah, right. It was uncomfortable talking about. So I think, if anything, is that, look, we're seeing a lot of chat on YouTube about this, and that is that don't take a receiver at 8. I feel like you really have to, if you're going to pick a receiver in the top 10, they got to be like a Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, for sure.
Think about like Brandon Cooks. Think about how good Brandon Cooks was. And he was what? Where did he go, Mel? In the mid rounds? Right. In the mid, 10 to 20 picks, 17?
He was around 17, 18 to New Orleans.
That guy ran a 40 that won't far behind John Ross's. It was a 4.3.
His nickname was Mach 7. We wanted him here. I wrote a whole article on it. He was a heck of a player.
And that alone is that, look, he's a little undersized and he wasn't able to stand out in New Orleans. Now, that may not be entirely his fault, but the point that I'm trying to make is that to go with a guy in the top 10, I really feel like they have to be, or you want them to be,
a generational kind of talent.
Right,
yes.
Because if you go just on the 40 time, look at Dorsett, who went to the Indianapolis Colts. Right. You got Andrew Luck as your quarterback. You got a speed demon. They took him pretty high in the first round. He hadn't done anything. So it's more than speed. But John Ross I think he's more a complete player than, say, a Dorsett was or is.
I think if you do take a receiver, the receiver you take is also going to be a good blocker, and that guy would be O.J. Howard. That's going to be your pick at number 8.
And you know what? I love that pick because Greg Olsen is fantastic, but he's not getting any younger, right? He's probably got
long in the tooth.
Yeah, he's got a couple more good, productive years potentially.
Exactly.
And drafted Joey. Who did we draft? I remember Joey going, this is that Greg Olsen went the pick after the Panthers or before the Panthers 1 year, and Joey wanted Greg Olsen so bad back in the day.
When he was coming out of Miami, I wanted him because I knew how he would make an impact on the team, and instead we picked Beeson that year.
Yes, which actually turned out to be a great deal because if you think about it, we got Beeson during his great years. Olsen goes to Chicago and isn't that great, and then we get him during his great years.
Exactly. So it did work out for the best. But back to O.J. Howard, I think, 8 is high for a tight end, but the impact he's going to make on the team right away, he's going to be on the field, and Cam will be able to use him. Remember, and I harken back to Jeremy Shockey, Greg Olsen, Cam Newton's rookie year. He was playing lights out.
Yeah, he was.
And it was because those two quality tight ends were able to make a real big difference. Those defenses had a problem covering two guys that can run routes and catch the ball the way they could.
And I love the point that you make there about his blocking too, because it's not not just that two tight end set, the Gronk and Aaron Hernandez type of setup. But also it's going to help Jonathan Stewart and any other running back that we might pick up.
Exactly.
It's going to help our offensive line. And it's going to help Cam in the protection, pass protection. So, hey, it would be a great pick. I don't think it'll happen at 8, but it would be a great pick.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I was just looking up some stuff. We were talking about trading back into the first. Last year when Philadelphia traded up with Cleveland to get Carson Wentz at 2, they gave up they swapped their first round pick, so they gave Cleveland their 8th overall pick, their 3rd round pick, and their 4th round pick.
Whew.
But they
That's
also
not
got
even
the
that
number 2
bad,
pick.
actually, to be honest.
Yeah, and they got the number 2 pick from Cleveland and a conditional 2017 4th round pick.
Right. Okay, so that's not. I mean, it's not terrible the deal, but we're not talking about.
We got 2 second round picks.
We're talking about going to like 18. 16,
right,
somewhere around there. So the price tag can't be as high as what Philadelphia gave up.
No, if O.J. Howard is still there at 16 or 18, I would do that over John Ross.
He's not going to be there. But here's the problem with that comparison, and which that does make me feel a little bit better because I feel like it usually costs more than that. The problem with that is that Cleveland had
this is also the Browns.
Yeah, they had 12 first-round picks last year. Nah, it was. I think they had a couple. I think they had 2 first-round picks. I'm not 100% sure about that, but them losing their first-round, I felt like they had so much to give away, potentially, and I could be wrong about this. Maybe I'm overvaluing what it would take to move up, but I really feel like it's going to take you your first-round pick next year.
I never want to do that again.
I mean, we would never do that. If that's what it was going to take, we would never do that.
We did.
Yeah, well,
once.
I mean, and there's really,
not with Gettleman though. We wouldn't do Gettleman. Would never do that. He wouldn't do that.
All right, so let's talk. So O.J. Howard is, and you guys actually convinced me more about this than I had felt, because I don't really like the idea of drafting a tight end that high.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of just bothers me a little bit because we've seen how much good even the best tight ends in the game can impact it, and it's not as much as I would like. You know what I mean? You think about it, is that if you redrafted Greg Olsen, would he be an 8th overall pick?
I was going to ask you the same question.
Really?
If we redrafted him knowing where he would be
today
at this point in his career?
Yeah. In that we would have him at this moment. Would he be an 8?
Yes, I think so. He's led the team in receiving multiple years. He's been to the Pro Bowl a couple times. I think you'd gladly take him at 8.
The reason that I asked that, though, is that because one of the things that people are saying that is that the blocking of Howard is better, is that Olsen really can't block.
He's not a good blocker, no, but he's an excellent receiver and route runner.
I think he's underrated blocker. I mean, he's a guy who never came off the field, Tony. If you don't come off the field, that's because you're doing something right. Now, he's not the most athletic dude in the world.
No,
he's not graceful. He's not the most graceful guy.
Snowshoes,
but
bro.
That could also.
But he never comes off the field.
Right, and that's a good
That could
point.
also just say something about the people behind him blocking too.
True. True.
He's also been rated by Pro Football Focus as the worst blocking tight end in the league last year.
Right.
And I mean, he's definitely improved from where he has. I mean, we can easily say that.
I wouldn't deny that, but where does he rank as far as top receiving tight ends go? I bet you he's right up near the top of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to take your good with your bad and everything. And look, OJ Howard has, there's plenty of tape out there of him getting beat just as bad as Olsen in some cases. But overall, he's a much better blocking tight end, and that's something in the Panthers' offense that's very key.
Right, and another thing to mention is, what does Greg Olsen do to how he affects the defense for the other receivers? When he's not necessarily the main threat or the number one target, he does affect that defense. They're always aware of where he is.
Yeah.
So you bring in another guy that is just the same as a receiver and a better blocker. Now you're really giving that defense headaches. The defensive coordinator is losing his mind on, they can't double anybody because of all the talent at receiving position to have on the field, right?
And but if you think about it, though, if you add that as you're not adding a ton of speed there at that moment, you're gonna trot out, Benjamin, potentially Funchess, Olsen, and another tight end. You'll be able to block, but you can't run past anybody.
Right.
No, but you're not going to have to with the one-on-one matches. You can throw the ball up. The big guys are going to go get it. When there's two guys covering someone, it makes it more difficult, to make a play. But when it's everybody's one-on-one, that's headaches for the defense.
It is, but I think Tony brings up a great point. You do need some diversity, right? I mean, the whole Twin Tower concept, it just was not great.
Yeah, it's not worked out.
Yeah,
that's why we brought in Charles Johnson for some speed.
True.
For that reason. You're right. I agree. We couldn't run those four guys out on the field every play.
Right.
We're going to have to, mix it up.
And I think we need a little bit more than Charles Johnson as far as speed. But I'm with you. But if we could get somebody like a Ross or a Samuel, look out. That would add a lot of flavor to our offense.
Definitely. And somebody with the same speed as, again, but better hands.
Oh,
watch out.
Here's another thing, though, is that when we had Howard, when we had Shockey and Olsen, that dual tight end where guys could pass catch and block, it was dynamic.
Yep.
Yeah.
You also still had the threat of a guy like Steve Smith.
Exactly.
At receiver.
Okay. And that's why I think Howard is a great pick for us at 8. Of course it depends on who's still there.
It does. It really does.
That's for sure.
I'm gonna.
You got Adams still on the board. I really think if he's there at 8, which
who's that?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go
ahead.
No, who did you say if they're still there at 8?
Adams,
the
defensive back from LSU. Yeah. If he's there at 8, I think that's the way we should go.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. Yep. I am dying for a safety that can come in. I feel like safeties can make an impact on day one. I feel like that they can hang around past their first 5 years. I don't think that a safety commands so much money in free agency where you can't be competitive. If you get, for instance, let's talk about another private workout that we had, and that was Cam Robinson is scheduled to come in and work out with the Panthers. Yeah. So say that the Panthers like what they see. They have been putting out some smoke screens about various positions and things, a little diversionary tactics, and you've got Cam Robinson there at 8, and the Panthers take him, and he turns into a real deal left tackle. When it comes time to extend his contract, that's going to be some serious mess you got to pay for. If
I will pay him gladly if he's protecting Cam Newton better than we have.
Anthony Munoz reincarnated, I will gladly give him the money he wants.
I'm just saying, the safety doesn't command that type of money.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. He can't command that kind of money.
Tell Eric Berry that.
I think the general consensus is at this point, though, is we could be happy with a lot of different players with this pick at 8 after free agency and various other things, and that's great news. I mean, we're not going in this thing like we have in the past few years, like, we got to do this, we got to get this guy, and then DG goes and picks somebody we never ever talked about. I mean,
that happens every year, man.
This year, it got to be one of these guys. But I don't think he's going to go off the wall and go pick up a second-round guy in the first round, or something like that.
Right.
Well, hey, guys, play a quick game here. Go around the horn and say who you think is most likely for us to pick, and then who do you want the Panthers to pick at 8? And I'll go first just so you guys can marinate on that. But I think and it always does depend on who's still there, but I do think that Solomon, the defensive end out of Stanford, is got to be right up there at the top of the board for a lot of reasons. DG loves that pass rusher, and man, the options and the ways that you can bring in and the negotiating flexibility into the future. You don't have to be held hostage to KK next year. After he's on the franchise tag this year, what do you do the following year? Well, if Solomon is lights out, then you can let KK walk if you need to, right? So that's who I think we're going to go with. But you know who I want? I really want to see us go Dalvin Cook.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
Oh.
All right.
You talk about freaking just lightning in a bottle that can play a 3-down back. He's kind of like D'Angelo Williams, the 2.0.
Yeah. I'm not against.
I agree with that assessment. Is that he could be a legitimate 3-down back that has that versatility. D'Angelo Williams. That's a great. He had a home run threat to him.
Yeah, I mean, this guy. He can block. He can catch out of the backfield. He's explosive. He's like a bigger Jamal Charles, D'Angelo Williams type of a back that is just, man. I mean, put him for a year with Jonathan Stewart and then let him be the bell cow into the future. Well worth the number 8.
Is the concerns with the character concerns? Do they not bother you enough, Mel?
Not enough. No, I mean, you got to flush that out, and we would have to be comfortable with him, right? No doubt. And I'm not in the rooms talking to him or doing the background, so he would have to pass all of that for sure. But what you turn on the tape, man, the guy is electric. And we need that. That would open up our offense like nothing else would. I mean, Leonard Fournette would be great, but he's a bulldozer. He's Jonathan Stewart 2.0. I want somebody that's got that big game, that big play potential in every snap.
Go ahead, Trip.
I was gonna say, if I'm picking if I'm going with the pick I think they would go with, I'm not sure which one, but I would, to be safe, I'd probably go defensive end too, with who DG would pick. If I'm going with who I want, and I know y'all were talking about receivers earlier, but if I'm going with who I want, I love Corey Davis. Corey Davis at receiver.
That name would come up eventually.
Yeah, I'm a huge Corey Davis guy. I think he can be all kinds of explosive at the next level, but that's yet to be seen. So, as all of these guys are.
Yeah.
But that would also be a high pick at 8. But I mean, he's that immediate impact receiver that I think the Panthers have been looking for the last few years. And KB might be that guy again, this year. But I mean, we'll have to see.
Joe.
Well, we know that Gettleman does love the big guys. So, if he, or I think if he's there, the Panthers will go Adams. If he's there, I think the Panthers will go Adams. Who I'd like to see them get at 8 is OJ Howard.
Okay. That's legitimate. You know, this is hard for me because I kind of want to say Cam Robinson. I kind of want to say that I just want to go ahead and get a young guy that is going to can come in and play on the offensive line. I believe that we could put Cam Robinson on the right side. We could put Matt Khalil on the left side, and then in 2 years or 3 years when we got to get out of Matt Khalil's contract, we can move him over. So I kind of... I don't know if I'm as hesitant. I don't know why people are so scared. Why they don't think Cam Robinson is for real. Is he really not in comparison to the talent of who's that dude that went to Atlanta a couple years ago?
Jake
Matthews.
Jake Matthews.
Is he not in this? Is he not in the same talent range as him? Is he less athletic? Is that what you would say, Mel?
Yeah.
Yeah, like clearly.
I like his tape. I think he'll be good. I just don't know about using him at pick 8. I mean, and here's the thing with this is, it's like you say, you know, we do this, and all off season, all we talked about comparing to the 2015 team was getting Cam Newton more time and protection. And those receivers will find ways to get open.
Mm-hmm.
And that could easily happen if we went, I mean, just hypothetically, say we hit Cam Robinson at number 8, and then one of the 2 second-round picks, we picked another tackle just in case.
Mm-hmm.
We stacked up, and then all of a sudden we have, you know, a top half of the league offensive line. Cam has time, and that offense is back to putting up 28, 30 points a game. And then all problems are solved, and it's with these same receivers and guys that we have right now. And Robinson is a mauler on the line. I mean, watch his tape. I mean, he gets after guys.
Didn't he have a pretty good combine, too?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And he was, well, actually, I would say he was amazing in comparison to the guys that were in his group.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to let you know what I thought of him in comparison to other people at that position in the past.
But, you know, I watch his tape, and he gets out to the second level, and he pulls like the Panthers like their offensive linemen to do. Exactly. So we're having him in a private workout. Ooh, he could really impress some DG there. I mean, that big athletic man with grapevine arms, they don't grow on trees. So he's going to be in contention.
Right. If you're going to get a left tackle, here's your chance. Here is your chance to do it. Because we know that everybody else that you get at tackle in the late 20s, in the second round, is a project.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like a lot of people, I just don't know where the hesitancy with Cam Robinson has come in. Is he look too big and slow? He's got long arms.
The character issues hold a lot of people back.
You know, and then I was talking to my office mate at work, and he was telling me this, is that gun thing that he was in a car with people that had that.
Right.
So, and there was another Alabama player in the car. So it's not like he was popping caps and robbing a damn gas station. That he happened to be rolling around with some guys, and maybe it was his, maybe it wasn't, but he was associated with it. So I really like that pick at 8. I'm starting to get to the point where I think that we maybe overthink things. I think, though, that that's who I want probably. And I'm hesitant. It's not sexy. The reason, I feel like everybody else you're going to be able to get on me. Like, everybody's going to be like, Tony, no way. We can get an impact player. We can get an explosive guy. We can get all these different things. And that may be true. But like Tripp said, is how does Cam Newton look when he's got time? Is this guy, do they really believe him? And third, can we get somebody like, we can't get a tackle like that in round 2, but we may be able to get an explosive player in round 2.
Yeah.
I think Jamal Adams is the pick. I would be super happy with him, and I think he's the pick too.
Right. Yeah, I don't. I see Adams actually falling.
Like him. So that makes you feel like you're not going to have a shot at him because he is such a popular player among teams that are picking ahead of you.
Yeah.
Do you know, guys, that we just did this whole exercise and nobody mentioned Leonard Fournette?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Well, if we were to go back to a more traditional I formation offense, I like him. But with the type of offense we run, he's just not going to fit the bill.
And I think he's going to go to the Jets or the Jaguars now, because the Jaguars hit safety hard and secondary hard in free agency.
Yes, they did.
Which is also who Jamal Adams was projected to go to in a lot of mock drafts. So Adams could fall, or he's been mocked to go to the Jets too. But I feel like Fournette's going to go to the Jets or the Jags now, because they're going to look for that running back. To help Blake Bortles, because he needs all the help he can get on that offense right now.
I want Jets to go Watson. That's really what I'd like to see them do. They got their quarterback for this year. Let Watson sit and learn from him, and then next year he's your starter. That's
This is the best comment in YouTube tonight, and that is Mike Todd 8 says, if Cam passes the DG test, then he's better than his grade. Or he's terrible, because Dave Gettleman will trot out anybody at left tackle.
He will. He will.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about a couple of private meetings. We've noted Cam Robinson's got a private meeting with the Panthers. We talked about Zay Jones. Tripp's got a cool interview with Zay Jones at where were you guys at?
Sup Dogs downtown.
All right, so downtown. Joey, you don't know what Sup Dogs is. You know it as La Vista.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And now, the Stop Shop, and Sup Dogs all of a sudden is this remarkably popular spot in Greenville, which is crazy because La Vista was the awesome spot. You remember the deck, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
The cheap pictures. They don't have the lawn out there anymore. The girls used to lay out on the lawn. So the best day, the most perfect day would have been today. It hit the 80s. It's the first time in a couple of weeks that it's hit the 80s. We would have been on the La Vista deck. The girls would have been out walking their dogs. Yeah, it was amazing. But now it's Sup Dogs, and it's super popular. But you can check out that interview on the website. We've got one last segment to do, though, in this show, because we've talked about the picks. We didn't talk about free agency winners. We didn't get time to do that tonight, and we'll talk about that. We'll bring in some other people to talk about some things with New Orleans and Tampa Bay. I would like to go, like Joey and I were texting back and forth, talking about how we should talk, how he wanted to discuss what other teams in the division had done in free agency. But we'll save that for another show. And what we're going to – I guess we need to close out with our Ice Up picks for the week. Who wants to go first?
Everybody on YouTube says they want to see Tripp go first. Make sure he brought one tonight.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Got him.
My Carolina fans will like this one, and if your Gamecock fans are joining us, you'll like it too. I'm going to ice up the Luke Kennard flop that got him his fifth foul and tossed out of that game. And you've seen the memes going around, I guess, of like his face looking at the ref like, "Are you kidding me? Why did you give me this foul? Yada yada." And when you look at the replay, number one, he's clearly all over the dude, and the guy goes to the rebound, grabs the ball, and like. You throw your little elbows and whatnot, trying to wrestle for the ball, and he does that, and Kennard just falls off like all dramatic and stuff. And this thing really drives me up the wall, guys. I cannot stand it, and I guarantee you, I was talking with me and Mark Pascal were talking about this on Twitter, Tony. If he had not have fell to the ground in the dramatic fashion he did, he probably would have stayed in the game and would have been able to help Duke in that late part of the game. So he can ice up. And Duke for getting kicked out early.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to go next, guys. My ASAP pick is kind of weak this week. And
is it political?
Nope.
Hey. What do you know?
Yeah. So win for you, Joey. I think you may have favored it, or I saw this tweet, and it was of a girl, and these people had captured this girl on Twitter. Now this could be completely staged. I don't know. But if I don't like people that dress up in military uniforms that weren't in the military. So I got to think that is not something that's super common. Now it's possible, but I don't believe it happens everywhere. So I see this tweet, and it's these 3 pictures of this pretty good looking blonde girl. She's in a black shirt and some tight kind of stonewashed looking or lighter colored jeans. And she's hugging up on her, I guess it looks like a boyfriend who is in the military, in the Army or the Marines. I think he was an Army guy. And it looked like they were at some event. He was in his uniform. They were hugging. They were boyfriend and girlfriend. And then there's these 2 pictures beside it. And it goes, this girl is very nervous about making her first porn. And you're like, wait a minute, that's the same girl. And then I see the tweet that somebody wrote about it, and they go, she in the same outfit, yeah. Now, unless I'm not going to ice her up if he's the one that shot the porn. But if that is your boyfriend, and then you left your boyfriend who came back from the military, and then you went and shot a porn, I'm going to say, first of all, to you, ice up. Second of all, I'm guessing you're probably not the first military wife that has done that. Oh, that's wrong. But, true. It's true that. Ice up.
Very true.
Ice up. I was looking at it, and it took me a minute. I was trying to figure out the pictures. You know what I'm saying? I was like, all right, so what's the big deal about this girl and her boyfriend? And then she's sitting on the bed, and it's like she's nervous about making her first.
Oh my!
And then it goes. Not only is it the same girl, freaking same outfit. I was like, she just walked out of the room. Oh, dope. So ice up. All right, who's next?
I'm gonna go. My ice up pick is someone who I really have tremendous respect for and really don't complain about too often. But I definitely need to say something about this because
what did I do?
Right. I'm icing up Mother and I'm icing up Mother Nature because the weather has been absolutely bananas. It was 90 in Charleston today. Okay, 90. A couple of weeks ago, we were freezing. There was snow in the upstate of South Carolina. In fact, it had been so warm this winter that we had an early bloom of peaches, blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries. And because the early bloom was followed up by very cold, icy weather, 85% of the peach crop in South Carolina, which is the second largest peach producer in the country behind California, 85% is shot. Ooh. We're not going to be able to stop. And the blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries are all going to be severely impacted. So when you guys go to the store to get your produce, you're going to be paying through the wazoo because of how much of a shortage there is. And that's really unfortunate because it hurts the farmers. It hurts the guys who go out to the field and pick, the produce. So it really affects South Carolina's economy. So I'm saying to Mother Nature, ice up. You've given us 4 seasons for our entire life. Can we please get it together, baby? We need things to be normal.
But Joe, isn't the fact that she did ice up? Isn't that kind of the problem?
Hey, get him, Mel, get him.
Well done, Joe.
Well done, Mel. Well done.
Well, I hope it's better this weekend, Joey, because I'll actually be in Charleston this weekend. So I got my cousin's wedding down there.
It's supposed to be very nice this weekend.
Yeah. Right on, man. It was a beautiful day here in the Queen City.
Global warming, though. Yes, this is global warming. This is what all y'all's diesel trucks have done. And that's what this is because now Mother Nature is all just discombobulated. She don't even know what's going on. And you're right, Joe. It's up and down. It was below freezing here just 4 days ago. It was 82 degrees today.
Exactly.
But hey, much better. I gotta say this, and Tripp knows this. Joe knows this. Mel knows nothing about this because he went to state, and there ain't no pretty girls at state. But
all right, now where my girls at out there?
But
Come on.
you get a nice spring day like this after a few cold 2 weeks, and you best just drive down Fifth Street. Just go ahead. It'll make your day. Just make your day. Everybody wants to get out and stretch their legs. And just make sure you don't run into the car in front of you. That's my opinion.
That's why your car insurance at ECU was so high.
Yeah. All right, Mel, you're last on the.
Yeah, I'll just bring it home, and I tell you, man, it pains me to do this. This is what I never thought I would ice up. I'm always a defender of, but I mean it literally. Cam Newton, you are the franchise. You are the face of the franchise. You shoulder this city on your shoulder, and now you got a problem with that shoulder. I don't know. I don't know all the details of why you waited. I don't know if it's on you or on the team, but it's your arm, buddy. You make $21+ million a year, and you're waiting. Now you're gonna be looking at training camp, and with that shoulder, if you push it too hard at the wrong time, it could happen again like that. Right. So I would rather see him in training camp sitting on the sidelines this year with Ken Dorsey, actually, because I don't want him taking the chance of pushing it too hard too early. It's a big risk that we're facing. I mean, without Cam Newton, we don't go very far.
And postponing this to the end of the month is exactly the reason for this concern.
Yes, thank you. So the season's on the line. We need Cam Newton to be right and to be healthy and to be at his best. We need these people blocking for him, but if his shoulder is mush, then what's the point? So Cam Newton, literally ice up, do your exercises, get ready for the season, and let's go.
Ice up, Cam.
Ice up. This is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We're every Tuesday night, now at 9 o'clock instead of 10. Remember that,
Thank
9 o'clock, because Mel's got to get to bed. And we do roll late, because we're at least an hour and a half past his bedtime now. But it is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Joe, where can they hit you up?
Find me on Twitter at Joe Riolano. And folks, thanks for tuning in. We love doing this for you guys. C3 fam, you're the greatest.
All right. Tripp, where can they hit you up? I know you've been pumping out a lot of work. Are you going to be on the sports bar this Friday?
No, I'll be out of town for that wedding in Charleston. But I'm gonna see about trying to get out there to the pro day maybe this week. I don't know how that's gonna go. We'll see. But you can find me on Twitter at TrippMorgan6, TRIPP Morgan6.
All right, Mel, where can they hit you up at?
Anytime at Panthers Drafter on Twitter, and you can check me out at Draft Tech. New mock draft coming out every Wednesday between now and the draft.
Hey, Tony, is this right? I can't tell.
Yep, it looks good. All right, we'll see you next Tuesday. Other than that, look, you can go to our, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Hit us up on iTunes if you want to hear this later and you don't want to watch these beautiful faces. I know. We do have some state people in the room. My bad. But we'll see you next week. And if you like what you hear, come back next Tuesday and we'll see you.
Give us a share. Right on. Good night, y'all.
All right. Now I got to figure out how to turn all this stuff off in this new setup.